everybody. For this video, I'm going to be showing you 4 different transfer papers and how to apply each one of them. So let's get started. To compare all 4 transfer papers, I'm going to use one design to properly compare colors as well as washing results. I use Cricut Design Space to edit the design and then print it out. This is a very colorful design, so we can test and see what these transfer papers are capable of. Before we print out the designs, we have to check the transfer paper instructions to see whether the designs need to be mirrored or not. For this test, we are going to be comparing Siser Easy Sublime, Koala Dark Transfer Paper, A-Sub Dark Transfer Paper, and PPD Dark Transfer Paper. All of these transfer papers are for dark fabrics, so I will be using 4 Gildan cotton black t-shirts for the test. The Koala brand says not to mirror the design. PPD also says not to mirror the design, and A-Sub also says not to mirror the design. When we go to put them on the shirt, we are going to be peeling them from the backing and putting them face up or design up so that the heat press will come down on the design, so they don't need to be mirrored. Siser Easy Sublime also says you do not need to mirror. Normally you peel it off the backing and you put it face up or design up onto the shirt and then press it that way. That isn't how we're going to be using Siser Easy Sublime for this test. There's a second way to use Siser Easy Sublime. For this test, we're going to cut the design out of the Siser Easy Sublime, but we aren't going to print it. So it's going to be not a non-mirrored outline of the design cut out. We're going to press that, and then we're going to use sublimation paper and sublimation ink to transfer the design over onto the Siser Easy Sublime. We're going to go over that in the video. I'm going to show you how that works and how it's done a little later. So once I knew how many copies of the design needed to be printed out mirrored and how many needed to be not mirrored, I went ahead and printed them out. It was 3 not mirrored and 1 mirrored through the sublimation printer on sublimation paper. The other 3 are going to be printed directly onto the transfer paper. Once they are all printed, I cut the designs with my Cricut. I know Siser Easy Sublime is a good product. It's kind of pricey, but works great on cotton, polyester, and light and dark fabrics. With transfer paper, I have had some bad experiences. The colors washed out fast, it cracked and peeled from the wash. I like Koala light fabric transfer paper, and I've liked PPD transfer paper, both the light and the dark, because I've used them in the past. They've worked great, but they've only worked great since I've switched presses. With my new press that I got, they press and work great. The colors don't wash out, they don't wrinkle up or crack or nothing like that. But before, in the past, I've used PPD with one of those handheld presses, heat presses, but I could never get enough pressure. Wasn't able to press it into the shirt properly because it would fade, it would crack, it would peel off. So I didn't like transfer papers before, but once I've gotten the press that you pull down and it gives a lot of pressure and even pressure throughout the whole thing, it presses it into the shirt properly, and I've had no problem with PPD since. I've recently tried Koala light fabric transfer paper. I can put a link up here at the top so you guys can go check that out. It worked great. We did a wash test. It worked awesome. It worked amazing. I was completely happy with it. Using my past experience, I'm going to be mostly comparing Koala and A-Sub to PPD and Siser Easy Sublime, because I know I've used PPD before and I've used Siser Easy Sublime before, so I know the results for those. Koala Dark Fabric and A-Sub Dark Fabric are both new products to me, so I'm testing them and I'm going to be comparing them to see how well they work. how well the colors are compared to the other two, how well the wash test is, and I'm going to be showing you the results for all of them and giving you my thoughts. After I run all of the designs through the Cricut to cut them all out, then we got to go through the weeding out all the extra fabrics around the designs, and then we're going to go into the pressing. For the Siser Easy Supply, we press the vinyl onto the shirt for 15 seconds at 311 degrees. And then we heat up the heat press to 400 degrees and we press the design down from the sublimation paper lined up onto the Easy Supply for 40 seconds at 400 degrees. And then once that's pressed, we set that aside. Then we're going to press the A-Sub, PPD, and Koala transfer paper on for 15 seconds at 340 degrees. All three of the transfer papers need to be peeled off the backing and pressed design up. Again, for 15 seconds at 340 degrees. It can be a little tricky with transfer paper because once you peel your design off the backing, it can start to roll up and it can be frustrating to get it on the shirt, especially when you pre-press shirts for 5 to 10 seconds to get all the moisture and wrinkles out. And if the transfer paper gets warmed up slightly while it's rolled up, it will stick to itself and be ruined. So a way to prevent that is to put it on the parchment paper flat, and then you put it on the shirt and slowly pull the parchment paper out from under it. For me, this works awesome. When pressing transfer paper, you also need to place a piece of parchment paper over top of the design, or the design will be all over the press after you pressed it and make a big mess. Most transfer papers will come with a few sheets of parchment paper. You can also find parchment paper on Amazon for a pretty good price. Now that we have all 4 shirts made, let's go over the results. All 4 pressed very nicely. The Siser Easy Supply came out the brightest, I noticed. The PPD was very dull compared to A-Sub and Koala. I think the Siser Easy Sublime turned out the best out of the 4, but sublimation ink is always brighter and more colorful than inkjet ink in my opinion. Out of the 3 transfer papers, it's hard to pick between A-Sub and Koala. The colors are both very nice and bright. PPD definitely came in last because of how dull it is compared to the others. But let's give this a wash test. I marked all of the tags so I would know what transfer paper it was when I finished washing it. So once they were all washed and dried, the results were very surprising. Koala came out amazing. No fading, no cracking. Siser Easy Supply came out as expected, beautifully. I've had great experience with this vinyl in the past. PPD had no cracks, but I still was not happy with the colors compared to the others. It was very dull. A-Sub had a texture to it from the wash cycle, so that is a negative towards A-Sub. So from this test, I'm going to say Siser Easy Supply 1, but if you're looking for an alternative and you only have an inkjet printer and you don't have a sublimation printer, or maybe you're looking for a cheaper alternative because Siser Easy Supply is quite expensive, I'm going to recommend Koala. Light and dark transfer paper. I've had good results with both of them. The colors are amazing. They don't crack. They don't fade. I've had good results from the transfer and the wash test. So out of the 3 transfer papers, I'm going to recommend Koala. I am surprised and have a new favorite transfer paper. It's funny because I use Koala for sticker paper. I've really liked the product. What was your guys' favorite from the transfer papers? And what did you guys think of the design? Let me know down in the comments. Have a fantastic day, everybody, and happy crafting.